Hi, I'm Jeff. I wanted to do a second video on release. I know I did one a while back where I spoke of a release and a second anchor point I created for release, but I wanted to go into more depth as to what's so important about a release and how to actually move those fingers. When I draw a bow back, or when anyone draws a bow back, the thing that's important is to keep a straight line from that arrow all the way through to your elbow. Now, if you've got that rule in place, then it should be equally important to release along that same plane as the arrow. A lot of times I watch people and they'll release and their hand goes up like this, or their hand comes down, or their hand comes away. And you'll see them do 3, 4, 5, 6 shots, and every time it can be a little different. Well, that's going to change the vibration on the string. And that's the key. What we want to do is when you're releasing, you just want that string to just slide off the fingers gently. So it just makes sense that if you come straight back along the same plane as the arrow and just relax those fingers, that string's going to slide away and come off your fingers more easily. I hope that makes sense. By plucking, by keeping a static release, what you're having to do is you're having to physically move those fingers out of the way. Okay, and that can get into string vibration. Now, I know that I was watching a video one time. It was John Scholl's. He's a fellow that was trained, and he shot with Howard Hill for many, many years. Was good friends with him and went hunting with him. And basically Howard Hill taught John how to shoot a bow. And Howard advocates that, you have a solid bow arm, which I agree with, and a solid release hand, which doesn't move. Okay, and it's just a static release. But when you watch John shoot and you watch Howard shoot, they really didn't have a static release. They really did come back, because you have to continue your back pressure when you're drawing your bow. Right? You have to continue that back pressure in order to maintain that string. So when they released, they actually did bring it back. By creating a static release, you're going to get some string vibration, and your back tension is going to quit. Okay? So what I did is I created a second anchor point for my release, which gives this hand a consistent place to go. I don't know if you guys remember Arnold Palmer and Lee Trevino, two famous golfers from the 60s. They were some of the best golfers that have ever played the game. They had probably the worst swings of anyone you'd ever want to see. Terrible swings, but they were grooved. When they swung the golf club, they did it the same every single time. And you can get away with doing different things with your release hand as long as it's consistent every single time. But most people don't do that. You'll see people that come here and they'll release their bow, and one time it's out here, another time it's here, another time it's here. Okay? So what I try to do for beginners is I like to give them a solid reference point for that hand to go to. So for me, my anchor point for my release is back here with my ear. And it just keeps a consistency, and it's along the same plane as the arrow, which is really important. If it's along the same plane of the arrow, you're going to get less movement from side to side, and it's not going to contradict the flight of the arrow or the vibration of the string. You want that string to just come off your fingers just gently, with as little side vibration as possible. Okay. Now, when Howard advocated and he spoke about having that static release, he didn't call it a static release. He just said, a rock solid release. You have to remember that he actually shot 80-pound, 90-pound, 100-pound bows. And that's a huge difference from someone that's shooting a 35-pound bow, or a 40-pound bow, or a 30-pound bow. That string's not going to come off your fingers nearly the same way with a lightweight bow. And that's why it's so important to keep that release nice and soft. When you're shooting a heavyweight bow, that string's going to tear away from your fingers regardless. It's Byron Ferguson, actually. He shoots a 72 and 75-pound bows. And I remember him mentioning one time in one of his videos how he liked to shoot a heavyweight bow because it was more forgiving for his release. And that's such a true statement. Now, I don't know, I think Byron's got a good release. He could probably shoot a 12-pound bow and get away with it. He's such a good shot. But, you know, on that same principle, what he was talking about, the heavier weight bow is more forgiving for a release. But when you're shooting lightweight bows and you're practicing, I like to practice with a 35-pound bow. If I can release and shoot good groups with a 35-pound bow, I'm going to be deadly with a 55 or a 60-pound bow or a 65-pound bow. Okay. So the thing about the release is we want to keep the string vibration to a minimum. We want to slide off our fingers gently and not come off violently. Okay, you're not plucking a guitar or a harp string. Okay? And that's why when I'm here and I'm at my anchor, as soon as I reach my anchor, all I do is I relax my fingers. Just let the finger muscles go as I continue my back pressure. And then I get to my second anchor point here for my follow through. And what that does is that just ensures that my follow through is complete. Okay? It ensures that I release well in the same plane, in the same line as the arrow. I want to keep everything straight on the same plane. I'm going to include some footage of my daughter shooting, and she's got an awesome form and an awesome release, and I'd really like you guys to see that, what she does. And she shoots well. She's a really good shot too. It reflects on how she's releasing her bow, her string. Anyway, I hope this has helped to clarify a few things. These are some things that have worked for me, and they have worked for my kids, and they've worked for a few other people. Not everything works for everybody. These are just, you know, tips that I think could really help some people to shoot better, and I hope it works out well. Thanks very much. Bye-bye. You don't need bugs.